Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Trey with TreyMixes.com, and I'm here on YouTube giving out some free mixing tutorials and discussing mixing concepts to help you make your music better for cheap or free in your home studio. And if that kind of thing interests you, then hit subscribe and hit the little notification bell so that YouTube will tell you when the weekly video is uploaded for you to watch. You can also head to TreyMixes.com where you can get your free downloadable ebook and private videos for using saturation to improve your mixes. And I have that up on the site for free. You can go get that and start applying those ideas and concepts to your mixes today, and I bet you they'll improve pretty quickly. So today in this episode, we're doing some very basic top-down, backwards mixing, whatever you want to call it, bus compression. And what I like to do is get a static mix first, and then we'll affect the entire mix by putting stuff on the mix bus, small processing changes there that will help us as we work our way down to the individual tracks. This is how me and a lot of people like to do their mixing, to try to get big picture changes for the song as a whole first before we start manipulating each individual track to take care of problems or improve it in the ways we need to. So I chose this song that I had been working on because this didn't require a ton of mix bus processing to get it sounding a lot better for me. So I figured that was a good way to address this and show some real basics for what you can do. So let's have a quick listen to a few bars just to get familiar with what the sound is like. We'll do it without the mix bus processing, and then we'll discuss what I did, and we'll go through and see how it affects it. So that's a pretty good static mix, a good place to start. You'll see there's a lot of other processing going on that I didn't turn off, reverbs, delays, some sends, and EQ and compression. And that's all right for this example because the mix bus processing will still be very powerful and easy for you to notice even through some of the other processing that has been done on this mix. So the very first thing I like to do is I like to grab some sort of console emulation, some kind of tube amplifier thing to run the mix through and add some gain to it, some saturation to it, some warmth to it. The Charlie from Prime Studio is a free plugin that you can get for signing up for their mailing list, and it's amazing. It's maybe the first plugin on every mix bus that I mix, and it's great. And I will show you what it sounds like right now. I hope you can hear the massive change that just a little bit of this console amplification does to the mix. So I'll turn it back to 0 and start it and just kind of show you what you can do to dial this thing in, but you don't need a whole lot. So what you'll hear is it's definitely getting it louder, but it's giving it more character too, which is why I just like to use a little bit of it to brighten it up, give some depth, and really warm the low end and create a little bit of punch to the mix. So you could do this with some saturation too, but I like these tube amplifier, tube emulation, console emulation type plugins. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of free ones. So get you one and put it on your mix bus, and you will hear a quick improvement. Like that a lot. Next, we're going to do some basic EQ on the mix bus. So what I have is a linear EQ, which is just a fancy way of saying this won't cause any kind of character or artifacts into your mix like a regular channel EQ or other type of console emulating EQs do. I want this to be fairly transparent. Some people will use a different EQ. No rules here. Use what you think sounds good. I like this linear phase because it's not really influencing the sound of the mix a whole lot, but still I can EQ. And I have it set for mid-side EQ. Mid-side EQ is where you're dividing up the stereo field into the things you hear directly in front of you, which is generally low frequencies, and the things you hear way to the left and right of you, the side frequencies. And those tend to be brighter, and the high frequencies that you pan out in your mix. So when I was doing a static mix, I worked the pan knobs and put guitars on the left and right. The stereo overheads are going to be wide, and those things are going to be out to the side, and the kick and the bass and any kind of low synth sounds are going to be towards the middle. So I have this EQ set up to affect things in the middle and things to the side. The big thing you can get out of this that I think everybody can learn real quickly about is in the mid, if you feel like your mix needs a little bit of a extra bump to the kick and the bass, which is what I've done here, right over here at 60, then you can add a little bump in the mid, and it won't affect the bass in the sides where you don't have a lot of low energy. So check it out. So that kick starts really hitting you in the chest and coming right out of the speakers at you right in your face, which is kind of what you want. But it's not bringing up any boominess in the left and the right channels of your ear. If you listen to this in stereo and not on your phone, you'll be able to hear that. The big takeaway from mid-side is the side EQs, where you can clean up your mix by getting rid or reducing the low frequencies in the sides. So I've got a high pass set way down here just to get the subs out of the side, and then I have a shelf up that's grabbing all the bass and the kick sounds in this mix and pulling them down, but not from the middle, only from the left and right sides to give you more oomph in the center and get mud out of the left and right. So here, check it out. It immediately cleans up the low end and moves the high frequencies further out to the wide. It gives the impression of a wider stereo field and a thicker low end right in the middle. What I've also done is the static mix with the guitars was a little heavy in the harshness between 2 and 5, so I just took out a dB. And on your mix bus, you only want to make somewhat small adjustments because you're affecting all of the tracks. Still do what you need to do to make it sound good, but I try to keep it kind of small in the movement on the mix buses because I'm affecting every track in the mix with this one EQ. And then I have a shelf up here near 10K, 9K, that I raised up so that on the sides, the cymbals and the air and the guitars and some of the higher keyboard frequencies that are spread out, they get kind of a boost, and that helps feel like the stereo field is widening. So we'll listen to it in and out again, and you can pay attention to the air and the cymbals and the left and the right sides if you're listening on headphones or stereo speakers. That hopefully you'll feel that it widens out and gets a little bigger for you. Big difference with just a couple of small moves. That's what the mix bus processing is all about. And the last thing you may want to choose to do is to add a little bit of compression on the mix bus. These are some of my favorite settings, and this is a preset that came with some of my favorite settings for a mix bus compressor. I love a 4-to-1 ratio, a not too fast attack. I like to let the automatic release or have a release that matches the rhythm of the song, and you'll see that here in a minute when we look at the needle. An auto, more often than not, will pick. They'll look ahead, see the frequencies hitting the compressor, and look ahead and adjust it automatically for you. And I like to get around 2 to 3 dB of bus compression when it's really hitting. And that's why my makeup is set for 2 dB. And then I just adjust the threshold down to where I'm getting a little bit of pop from the needle, maybe 2 dB, just to really glue the song together to really bring down and even out some of the dynamics, but then bring up some of the smaller, quieter parts and really fill out the mix. So let's check it out. So as you can see, the needle is just jumping with the kick and occasionally the snare on the really loud snare hits, and we're just kind of knocking that down and bringing back up a little bit extra into the mix. A little bit of compression on the bus can go a long way. So I'm going to play it again, turn off all the bus processing, and we'll turn it back on, and hopefully you can see the kind of difference that these very tiny moves will make for you. Just a little bit of tube console warmth, a little bit of EQ, and a little bit of compression. So just these three little things that you can get for free that you should already have, you can do some really cool things and really improve your mix. So here we go. So there you go. Pretty big, pretty obvious difference. So if you like this video, again, hit subscribe and get ready for weekly mixing tutorials, mastering tutorials, and other useful concepts and techniques. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful day.